I'd been dreaming of my graduation day for years. Not just for the diploma, but because it was the first time in my life I was going to be recognized for something big. I put myself through college while working 2 jobs, sleeping 4 hours a night, and skipping anything that wasn't absolutely essential. Every exam passed felt like one step closer to proving I was more than just the quiet one in the family. I wanted them to be there, to see me walk that stage and know I did it. For them. For me. So when I found out the graduation ceremony would be in May, I started planning months in advance. Flights, hotels, even new clothes for everyone. My mom, dad, little brother, and my Aunt Claire. Cost me over $14,000. I dipped into my savings. Delayed paying off some of my student loans. I told myself it would be worth it. I imagined them in the crowd, clapping, smiling, proud. 2 weeks before the ceremony, I got a call from my mom. She sounded a little too upbeat. "Hey, sweetie, so, there's something we need to talk about," she said. I knew that tone. It's the same one she used when she gave away my childhood dog without telling me. Turns out, Claire had found a deal of a lifetime, a group tour to Greece. "It's only a few hundred more than the graduation trip," Mom said. "And, well, you'll have other ceremonies. But how often do you get to go to Greece?" I didn't say anything at first. I couldn't. I just listened to them list the islands they'd be visiting. How excited they were about the blue roofs and clear water. How it was Claire's dream and the timing was just perfect. I told them I understood. I lied. Graduation day came. I stood in my cap and gown while other families surrounded their graduates with flowers and hugs and banners. I smiled for the photos. Alone. Some stranger's mom took a picture of me so I wouldn't have to ask. I told her thank you and tried not to cry until I got back to my apartment. They sent me a postcard. A picture of Santorini with, "Wish you were here," scrawled in Claire's handwriting. No mention of the $14,000 I'd spent. No apologies. Just blue water and a casual shrug. I haven't really talked to them since. They don't even seem to notice. I think that's what hurts the most. Not that they went to Greece, but that it was so easy to choose it over me. Weeks passed. I didn't respond to their group chat messages. My mom sent me a few texts asking if everything was okay. I left them on read. I wasn't trying to be dramatic, I just didn't know how to answer. How do you explain that something broke inside you when you saw your whole family trade your biggest day for a vacation photo op? Eventually I got a call from my dad. He rarely calls. Usually just lets mom handle that stuff. But this time his name popped up and I stared at the screen for a full minute before picking up. "Hey kiddo." His voice was soft, like he knew I wasn't going to be happy to hear it. "I know you're upset. We didn't mean to hurt you." I almost laughed. Not in a funny way. Just in that sharp, bitter way that creeps out when something cuts deeper than expected. "You didn't mean to, but you still did." There was silence on the other end. Then he said, "Your mom really thought you'd understand." That's when I lost it. I do understand. I understand that I'm not your priority. That a vacation with cocktails and Instagram pictures meant more to all of you than showing up for me. And I was stupid enough to pay for it. He didn't argue. He didn't deny it. Just said, "We messed up." I hung up. That was the last real conversation I had with any of them. I started therapy not long after. It wasn't just the graduation thing. It was years of putting in more effort than anyone ever returned. Birthdays they forgot. Emergencies they downplayed. Always expecting me to be the responsible one, the one who understands, the one who bends. But I've stopped bending. I refunded what I could from the hotel bookings. Lost a lot but managed to get maybe $3,000 back. I picked up a freelance project and stayed busy. One of my professors, a quiet guy who taught me philosophy, handed me a card after class on my last day. Inside was a handwritten note. "Some families we're born into. Others we build. You're building yours." I still carry that card in my wallet. My family posts Greece photos now and then. Sunsets, wine, ruins. I stopped looking at them. I stopped waiting for apologies that were never coming. And slowly I started building something different. Friends who show up. Coworkers who see me. A small life maybe, but it's mine. No more paying for people to pretend they care. A few months later, I got an invite to a cousin's wedding. One of those big family events where everyone pretends nothing ever happened. It was in California, near the beach. Fancy venue, white chairs, string lights. Instagram ready, just how my family likes it. I wasn't going to go at first. I kept the envelope unopened on my desk for weeks. But curiosity got the better of me. I wanted to see them. Not to reconnect. Just to look them in the eye. To see if they'd say anything. To see if I still felt like the outsider or if I'd finally stopped caring. So I flew out. Paid for my own ticket this time. Booked a cheap Airbnb a few miles from the venue. I arrived alone, wore a simple black dress, no +1, no big smile. Just me. The second I walked in, I saw my mom near the bar. She froze. I mean, literally stopped mid-sip. Then she smiled, tight and rehearsed. "There's my graduate," she said too loudly, like it could undo everything. I nodded, gave a polite smile back. "Hey." She hugged me. I let her. But it felt like hugging a coat on a hanger. Empty. Too light. The rest of the evening was a blur of relatives pretending to care about my job, asking vague questions about what's next, while clearly more interested in the canapés. My little brother avoided me entirely. Claire tried to crack a joke about not all of us getting the travel bug out of our system yet, and I walked away mid-sentence. Later that night, I stood on the edge of the dance floor watching my family laugh like we weren't broken in half. Like I hadn't funded their trip to forget me. And in that moment, I realized something strange. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't okay, not exactly. But the pain had shifted. It wasn't fire. It was distance. Cold, quiet, clear. They weren't my people. Maybe they never were. I left early, walked back to my Airbnb under a sky full of stars, and sat on the porch with a cup of coffee. I listened to the waves, let the quiet fill me, and finally breathed. Not because they had changed, but because I had. I didn't tell anyone I was leaving the wedding early. Just slipped out before dessert, before the dancing really started. No goodbyes. No drama. Just me, a rideshare, and the sound of the ocean as I rode through a town full of strangers who felt more like home than my own family ever had. Back at the Airbnb, I opened my laptop. An email from a job I'd applied to weeks ago sat at the top of my inbox. Subject: Final interview invitation. I laughed, soft, surprised. It felt like the world had been holding its breath for me to let go. The next morning, I walked down to the beach. No shoes, just the cold sand and the kind of sunrise that makes everything look a little softer. I thought about that girl a year ago, the one who spent $14,000 just to be seen. The one who believed that if she gave enough, they'd finally love her the way she needed. She didn't know yet that some people take and when there's nothing left they leave anyway. But I did. Now, when I flew home, I deleted the family group chat. Blocked the ones who still sent me passive-aggressive texts about healing and moving on. I wasn't bitter. I just didn't want to carry what wasn't mine anymore. I bought myself a small gold ring the next week. Nothing flashy. Just simple, warm, and mine. I wear it on days when I feel the ache of being left behind. A quiet promise to myself, never again will I pay to be loved. I got that job, by the way. Moved cities. Started over. I don't talk much about my family to new people. Not because I'm hiding it, but because I'm building something better, connections that are earned, not owed. And every now and then, when the light hits just right, I remember that porch in California, the quiet after the noise, and I smile. Not because it didn't hurt, but because I survived it. A year passed. It's strange how time moves differently when you stop waiting for people to become who you need them to be. The days feel lighter. Quieter but not empty. I'd built something like a life. New friends who showed up with takeout when I was too tired to cook, coworkers who remembered my birthday without Facebook prompts, neighbors who waved just because. One Saturday morning, I was sitting in a coffee shop, editing a report for work, when I got a text from a number I hadn't saved. "Hey, it's your mom. Grandma's not doing well. Thought you should know." I stared at the screen for a long time. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. Then I locked the phone and left it face down on the table. Grandma had always been kind to me. Quiet like me. She used to sneak me second slices of cake and call me her little sunbeam, even when the rest of the family forgot I was there. But the truth was, they kept me at a distance from her too. I hadn't seen her in 2 years. Grief used to feel like something I owed people, like a tax I had to pay for being loved. But now, it felt different. Quieter. Less about performance. More about memory. I sent a message to one of my new friends. Just 3 words: "Can we talk?" She called right away. No questions. Just, "Where are you?" "I'll come." I didn't go to the hospital. I didn't return my mom's text. But I sat on the park bench that afternoon and let the breeze remind me that I was still here. Still breathing. Still soft in a world that tried to harden me. Weeks later, I got a letter. Handwritten. From my cousin, the one who got married. She wrote, "I saw you at the wedding. I could tell something was wrong. I didn't say anything because I didn't know how. But I just wanted you to know. I get it. I felt it too. If you ever want to talk, I'd really like that." I sat with that letter in my lap, heart thudding, unsure what to do with it. Maybe I'll write her back. Not to reconnect with the family, but to see if maybe, just maybe, someone else had been surviving quietly too. That's the thing about healing. It doesn't always look like reconciliation. Sometimes it looks like letters. Like quiet mornings. Like a simple ring on your finger and a life that finally feels like yours. Sometimes healing looks like walking away. And never needing to look back. Spring came quietly this year. The kind of soft shift where one day you realize the air doesn't bite anymore, and the sun lingers just a little longer in the sky. I noticed it while walking home from work, coffee in hand, jacket unzipped, thinking about nothing in particular. That's how healing sneaks up on you, not as a grand declaration but as an absence. The weight you used to carry just isn't there anymore. The cousin I'd never expected to hear from again, Emma, she and I started writing. Letters at first, then emails, eventually calls. She told me things I never knew, how Claire used to make backhanded comments about her weight, how her parents skipped her school play to go wine tasting, how she'd felt invisible at that wedding too in a different way. I saw you leave early, she said once. And I thought, God, I wish I had the courage to do that. We laughed about it, a real laugh, not the strained kind you fake when you're trying to belong. It was the first time I felt like someone in my family actually saw me. I visited Emma last month. She's studying art therapy now, lives in a tiny apartment with more plants than furniture. We sat on the floor with takeout and talked until 2 in the morning. No guilt. No pressure. Just space. Honesty. Soft things. And maybe that's what family is. Not blood. Not obligation. But people who let you be soft without punishing you for it. I still haven't spoken to the rest of them. My mom sends the occasional message, usually around holidays, usually something like, "We miss you." But I don't think she misses me. I think she misses the version of me who paid the bills and asked for nothing. The one who swallowed hurt for the sake of peace. That version is gone. I'm not bitter. I'm just done. Last night, I sat on my balcony, the city humming below, and wrote a list of everything I've learned since that graduation day. I'll spare you most of it, but the last thing I wrote was this. Being the bigger person doesn't mean staying where you're small. I folded the paper, tucked it into a box of letters from Emma, and I smiled. Because this life I have now, quiet, honest, entirely mine, is worth everything I had to lose to get here. It's funny what you start to notice when your life finally quiets down. Not the silence of being ignored or left out, that hollow, echoing kind. But the peaceful kind. The kind where you can hear your own thoughts again. Where the noise of proving yourself, of performing for love, finally dies out. I was sitting on a park bench last weekend watching a little girl chase pigeons while her dad laughed behind her, and something about the simplicity of that moment stopped me. I don't know why it hit me then, but I realized, I used to crave moments like that with my own family. Crave them so badly I mistook crumbs for meals. And now, I don't crave anymore. I choose. I choose who gets access to me. Who gets to sit in my joy, my struggle, my space. It's a quiet power, but it's everything. Emma's coming to visit next month. She's bringing her dog, a floppy-eared mutt she rescued after a breakup. We're planning nothing extravagant, just long walks, maybe some bad movies, definitely pizza. It feels good to look forward to something that doesn't come with strings or expectations. I told her about the ring. The one I bought after graduation. She wants one too now. We joked about getting matching ones, cheap, simple gold. Not to symbolize pain but the rising from it. Sometimes I wonder if my mom still tells people about my graduation. If she rewrites the story in her head, paints herself as supportive, proud. I wonder if she shows pictures from Greece and calls it a necessary family moment, skipping the part where her daughter sat alone in a crowd of cheering families. But that's not my concern anymore. That's her version to carry. Mine is different. Mine is about learning to clap for myself when no one else shows up. About sitting through the ache and realizing I'd rather be alone in truth than surrounded by people who don't see me. I used to think closure came with big confrontations, slammed doors, dramatic speeches. But it doesn't. Sometimes, closure is just accepting the apology that never came and building a life around what's still possible. And right now, what's possible feels wide and open and full of light. Maybe that's enough. No, maybe that's everything. It's been 2 years since the graduation. Sometimes it still comes back to me in that cap and gown, standing alone outside the auditorium while families wrapped each other in laughter and flowers. I remember the way the air felt, heavy with everything I wanted to believe about love and loyalty, and how it all slipped away like sand through open fingers. But here's the part one never expected. I'm grateful it happened. Not in a silver lining, toxic positivity way. But in the way that sometimes, the worst heartbreak doesn't shatter you, it sculpts you. Carves out the false parts. Leaves only what's real. I've learned that love isn't a transaction. You don't earn it with sacrifice. You don't buy your seat at the table by shrinking yourself to fit it. Love, the kind that heals, asks nothing but your honesty, and gives back tenfold in quiet, consistent presence. My life is small but full. Not flashy. Not the kind of thing you post online for clout. But it's mine. I drink coffee on the fire escape in the mornings, barefoot, hair a mess, watching the sun climb over the buildings. I cook for people who come when I need them, not just when they need me. I laugh louder, cry softer, and rest easier knowing that I don't have to prove my worth to anyone ever again. Emma wears her gold ring now. I caught her fidgeting with it the last time we talked, smiling to herself. She said, "It's weird. I used to think I had to fix everything to move forward. Now I just walk." And maybe that's what healing is. Not pretending it didn't hurt, but knowing you won't let it decide who you become. This is my closure. Not a confrontation. Not a reunion. Just peace. And a life that finally feels like home.